Leo was not ready for life on an alien planet. He stood at the edge of the open training field, squinting at the bright twin suns above Xanthoris. His jumpsuit stuck to his back with sweat, and the tall, sharp grass around him buzzed with insect sounds. The alien air smelled like metal and fruit. It had only been 3 days since Leo arrived from Earth. He was a junior engineer, sent as part of the first Humans in Theory exchange program. His job was simple: observe, learn, and support the research outpost. But even simple tasks were hard when everything around him was strange. The Xanthri were tall, strong, and serious. Their skin had light patterns that changed slightly depending on mood. They wore light armor even during meetings. Their voices were deep, and their eyes glowed faintly blue. Most of them kept their distance from humans, except one, Valari. Valari was not just any Xanthori. She was a respected warrior and the security lead of the outpost. She had a presence that made everyone step aside when she walked past. She was graceful, powerful, and calm. Leo had seen her from a distance before, but today was the first time he stood this close to her. The outpost team had gathered for a morning briefing on the training field. Valari stood at the front with the other leaders. She looked sharp and focused as usual, her long silver weapon strapped to her back. Leo's eyes wandered for a moment. He didn't mean to stare, just happened to glance at her, at the way she stood tall, her back straight, her armor perfectly shaped to her form. The figure was strong and balanced, like a sculpture. And in his tired mind, a single thought appeared. Wow. She's got an amazing build. He quickly shook his head. No, stop that, he told himself. This was not Earth, and she was not human. He should focus on the mission. But just as he turned his head, he heard something strange, his voice. It echoed clearly across the quiet training field, but he hadn't spoken. I really like the way she looks from behind. Strong and balanced. The words came out in perfect Xanthari language. Silence fell. Dozens of alien eyes turned toward him. Valari slowly turned her head to look at him directly. Her glowing blue eyes were unreadable. Leo froze. Oh no, he whispered to himself, face turning red. Did I just... Yes. His translator device had glitched. The neural link was supposed to stay silent for thoughts and only speak when he used actual words. But this time it had broadcasted his private thought out loud to everyone. His heart pounded in his chest. His palms were sweating. This was it. He had insulted a warrior leader in front of her people. She would probably challenge him to a duel. Or worse, report him to the Alliance Board. He imagined being sent back to Earth in shame, or maybe even locked up in some alien cell. Valari took a step forward. Leo gulped. She stared at him for a long, silent moment. Her expression remained unreadable. Then, something unexpected happened. She nodded, just once. Then she said, in a calm and clear voice, "Observation noted. You have a sharp eye." Leo blinked. Wait, what? But Valari had already turned away and continued speaking to the group, like nothing happened. The meeting ended soon after. But Leo could still feel the strange looks from both humans and Xanthri. Some of the human team avoided his eyes. One of the Xanthri, a tall warrior named Dren, gave him a curious glare. No one said anything, but Leo knew the incident wouldn't be forgotten easily. Back at the tech tent, Leo sat down, still shocked. His friend Mira, another Earth engineer, came in and sat beside him. "So, that happened," she said with a smirk. "I swear, I didn't mean to say it out loud," Leo groaned, rubbing his face. "It was just a thought. The translator must have glitched." "Sure," she said, "but you do know that Valari heard everything." She didn't get mad. "That's what's weird," Leo said. "I thought I'd be dead by now." Mira chuckled. "Maybe you should look up what that kind of compliment means in their culture." Leo blinked. "Wait, you think it meant something else to them?" She nodded. "Could be." "What?" "These aliens don't exactly follow human rules, you know?" That night, Leo lay in his bunk staring at the ceiling. The stars outside the window blinked softly. He couldn't stop thinking about Valera's reaction. Calm, respectful, even approving. No anger. No warning, just acceptance. He sat up and turned on his datapad. Maybe it was time to learn more about Xanthri customs, especially about how they reacted to words like his. As the screen lit up and he began to search, one thing was clear. This was only the beginning. Leo couldn't sleep well that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Valari's face staring back at him. Her calm voice, her glowing blue eyes, the way she nodded instead of getting angry at all, replayed in his head again and again. He kept asking himself the same question. Why didn't she get mad? The next morning, Leo went straight to the library pod of the research outpost. It was a small round room filled with data screens, chairs, and a few Xanthri learning crystals. He asked the AI assistant to bring up everything it could find about Xanthri culture, focusing on communication and body language. He read quickly, sipping from a cup of hot root tea, which tasted like bitter grass. Then one line on the screen caught his attention. In Xanthri culture, direct comments about one's physical strength, posture, or body balance are considered marks of high respect, especially among warriors. Compliments delivered without fear or hesitation are sometimes seen as early signs of a bonding challenge. Leo sat back in his chair, blinking, so that's why she didn't get mad. To Valerie, his comment wasn't seen as rude or strange. It was seen as brave, maybe even honorable. And depending on how she took it, it could mean something more. He swallowed hard. Did I just accidentally compliment her like a warrior asking for attention? Just then, a soft tone played at the edge of the door. Someone was outside. Leo stood up and pressed the panel. The door slid open with a quiet whoosh. Whoosh. Leo. Her eyes stood there. Leo's heart nearly stopped. Leo of Earth, she said. Her voice was calm as always, but her eyes held a quiet intensity. Hey, you are summoned for the walking circuit. The what? He asked, confused. The walking circuit, she repeated. It is tradition after an open comment. We walk together, observe, and exchange thoughts. Leo hesitated, then nodded slowly. Okay. Sure. I'll get my boots. 10 minutes later, Leo was walking beside Valari through the winding trail near the cliffs beyond the outpost. The view was breathtaking. Green-blue trees with glowing leaves swayed in the breeze. Far below, silver rivers cut through deep valleys. Strange bird-like creatures flew in the sky. For a while, they walked. In silence, Valari finally spoke. You are not like others. Leo looked at her, unsure what she meant. You mean humans? She nodded. Most humans stay quiet. They speak through devices. They fear mistakes. You do not fear words. He scratched the back of his neck. Well, I do now. I almost died of embarrassment yesterday. Valari stopped walking. She turned to him slowly. Do not be ashamed, she said. Your words were honest. Honesty is rare, even among my own kind. Leo gave a small smile. So you weren't offended? I was, surprised, Valari replied, but not offended. You saw strength and balance? You spoke without fear. That is a rare kind of respect. He looked down at his boots, then back up at her. I didn't mean it as a challenge or anything, I know, she said. But still, your words are in the air now. They cannot be taken back. Now we walk. Glanced around, and this walk. What's the purpose? It helps us understand if the words were just sounds or something more. They walked again in silence for a few minutes. Then Valari asked him a question. Do you see warriors like me on Earth? Leo laughed a little. Not like you. Have soldiers? Yes. Fighters? Yes. But you're different. You walk like you own the ground. Valari didn't smile, but her eyes warmed slightly. And you, she said, walk like someone who is not afraid to fall. Leo wasn't sure if that was a compliment or a warning. Maybe both. Back at the outpost, the other humans watched as Valari and Leo returned from their walk. Mira raised her eyebrows as Leo passed. Survived the walk, huh? She whispered. Not. Only survived, Leo replied. I think I got invited to something even weirder. Later that day, While Leo worked on repairing a faulty power line near the command tower, Valari walked past again. This time, she paused and looked at him. "Tomorrow," she said, "you will join me in the movement chamber." "The what now?" "We'll learn warrior balance drills?" Leo blinked. Okay. "Why me?" "You notice strength. Now you will feel it." She walked away without waiting for a reply. Leo stared after her. What had he gotten himself into? That night, he sat again with Mira in the mess hall. "She invited you to training?" Mira asked, trying not to laugh. "You? With 2 left feet and a weak back?" "I'm not that bad," Leo said, pretending to be confident. Mira smirked. "You're totally in, whether you want to be or not." "In what?" "She's testing you," Mira said, leaning in. "Xanthri, don't waste time. You gave her a compliment that means more in their culture than you realize. She's interested. She wants to see if you're worthy." Leo's mouth fell open. "Wait, worthy of what?" Myra shrugged. "Could be friendship, could be something else. You'll find out soon, I guess." Leo rested his head on the table. "I should have just stayed quiet." But deep down, a small part of him was curious. Valari wasn't like anyone he'd ever met before. Strong, silent, wise, and oddly kind. Maybe this wasn't a disaster after all. Maybe it was the start of something completely unexpected. The next morning, Leo stood in front of the movement chamber, staring at the large metal door. His boots were dusty, and his palms were sweating. He wore a simple training outfit and carried a towel, unsure if he was dressed properly or about. "To make a fool of himself? Maybe I should fake a fever," he muttered. But before he could run away, the door opened with a soft hum. Valari stood inside. She was dressed differently today, no armor. Instead, she wore a loose, dark training outfit made from some kind of flexible Xanthri fabric. Her arms were bare, and her posture was calm, focused. "You came," she said, walking toward him. "I did say I would," Leo replied, trying to sound confident. "Even if I don't know what's about to happen. Follow. You will learn balance and stillness. 2 things that help warriors stay strong." Leo nodded. "I've seen earth yoga videos. Can't be much harder, right?" Valari didn't reply. Her face was unreadable again. The movement chamber was warm and quiet. The walls were smooth and rounded, with glowing lines that shifted color slowly. The floor was soft underfoot, like walking on moss.var. I stood in the center of the room and motioned for Leo to stand across from her. "We begin with the stance of the mountain," she said, feet apart. Arms relaxed, eyes forward. Leo followed her movements a little awkwardly. His shoulders were stiff, and he bent his knees too much. Valari walked over, adjusted his feet gently, and said, "Not too wide. You are not a tree." Leo chuckled. "I guess I'm more like a bush." Valari raised one eyebrow, but said nothing. They moved through several poses-slow stretches, careful turns, and controlled breathing. Valara's body moved like water. Every motion she made had purpose. Leo, on the other hand, struggled to keep up. He wobbled, lost his balance, and once fell backward onto a padded mat. Valari walked over and offered her hand. Leo took it, surprised by her grip, strong but gentle. "You do not give up," she said. "Not yet," Leo replied, "but my legs might." After the session ended, Valari gave him a small nod. "You improved." "Slightly, thank you," Leo said. Unsure if that was a compliment. "You will return tomorrow." "If you continue?" Leo tilted his head. "You mean I have a choice?" She turned to leave. Everyone has a choice. Only the strong accept the path. Leo watched her go. The room felt suddenly colder. As he left the chamber, his mind was full of questions. Why was she doing this? What did it mean to be chosen for these drills? Later that night, he sat with Myra again in the mess hall. She stirred her soup while watching Leo with curiosity. "So, how was alien yoga?" "It wasn't yoga," Leo said. "It was warrior balance drills." "My knees still hurt," Myra smirked. "Or so you're officially training with her now?" Serious? Why is it serious? Leo asked. She says it's just balance and strength. Because Xanthri don't invite just anyone, Myra explained. Training with them means they see something in you, potential, or connection. Leo leaned forward. I looked up their customs last night. Did you know a compliment like mine can be seen as the start of a courtship challenge? Mira nearly dropped her spoon. You're kidding. Nope. And now she's testing me. First a walk, now balance training. What's next? A duel? Mira gave him a knowing look. Maybe she's trying to see if you're strong in other ways too, not just physically. Xanthri value courage, honesty, and endurance. Leo shook his head. I didn't mean to start any kind of challenge. I just had a thought, and boom, the translator betrayed me. Yeah, but now you're in it, Mira said with a grin. So you might as well give your best. Great. Accidental alien romance training, just what I needed. The next few days passed quickly. Each morning, Leo trained with Valari in the movement chamber. Her lessons were firm but fair. She rarely smiled, but sometimes her eyes softened. When he tried hard, she corrected his stance, helped him control his breathing, and showed him how to focus. Slowly, Leo improved. One day, after training, Valari handed him a curved stone. It was smooth and etched with alien markings. What is this? Leo asked. A mark of progress, she said. You have taken the first steps. Leo turned the stone in his hand. Thanks, I didn't think I was doing that well. You are not fast, Valari said honestly. But you are steady. Steady warriors last the longest. He smiled. That sounds like a compliment. It is. That night, Leo returned to his room feeling something strange pride. For the first time on Xantheris, he didn't feel like a clumsy outsider. He felt noticed, valued, but just as things were starting to feel normal, something unexpected happened. While working near the power tower the next day, Leo saw a tall Xanthri warrior walking toward him. The warrior wore heavier armor, his face marked with gold paint. His body language was sharp and challenging. Mira appeared beside Leo and whispered, That's Dranik, one of the top Xanthri fighters. Leo frowned. What's he doing here? Dranik stopped in front of Leo and stared down at him. His voice was cold but clear. You are the human who spoke bold words. Leo nodded slowly. I guess I am. Dranik narrowed his eyes. Valari is respected, watched by many. Your presence is strange. Your training is? Noticed. Leo stood his ground. She invited me. She tests you, Dranik said. But I will test you too. Before Leo could reply, Dranik turned and walked away. Mira looked at Leo with wide eyes. You might be in more trouble than you think. Leo sighed again. Of course I am. He looked down at the curved stone in his hand. He had no idea what tomorrow would bring, but he had a feeling things were about to get a lot harder. Leo woke up the next day feeling tense. His back was sore from training, and his mind was filled with thoughts of Dranik, the tall Xanthri warrior who had challenged him yesterday. Dranik had not smiled, not blinked, and definitely not liked Leo. His warning was clear. Leo was being watched, and not everyone was happy that a human was spending time with VLA. Lair dressed quietly and walked to the movement chamber. As usual, Valari was already there, standing in the center of the room like a stone statue. You are late, she said without turning around. Only by 1 minute, Leo replied. Time matters. Leo nodded and stepped forward. He took his place across from her and followed her lead. The stretches and poses were the same, but Leo noticed. Valeri's movements were faster today, sharper. She seemed focused, serious. After 30 minutes of training, Valari finally spoke. You met Dranik? Leo nodded. Yeah, he's tense. He's powerful, Valari said. He was once my sparring partner. Leo looked up. And now? He believes you are a challenge. Leo laughed nervously. Challenge? I can barely touch my toes. Valari looked at him with calm eyes. You spoke bold words. You trained beside me. To others, it looks like you are walking the path of courtship. Dranik has seen this, and now wishes to test your spirit. Leo blinked. Wait. He thinks we're He paused, trying to choose his words carefully. Trying to bond with you? Valari didn't answer right away. Xanthari bonds begin with respect. Then they grow through trials. Strength, honesty, endurance. You have already shown 2 of these. Leo scratched his head. And now Dranik. Wants me to prove the 3rd? Yes. Leo took a deep breath. What kind of test are we talking about? Valari finally walked over and stood in front of him. There is an ancient trial, she said. Not of pain, not of war, but of skill. You and Dranik will face 3 tasks. One of body, one of mind, and one of heart. Leah stared at her. That sounds dramatic. It is tradition, she replied. If you succeed, others will respect you. If you fail, you must step away. Leo didn't like the sound of that last part. The next morning, the trial was set. Xanthari and human. Observers gathered outside near the cliffside arena. A round platform had been set up with 3 sections, each designed for a different test. Valari stood beside the leaders of the outpost, her face calm but watchful. Leo stood on one side of the platform wearing a light training suit. Across, from him stood Dranik, tall and silent, his armor shining under the twin suns. The first task was a physical course. Both warriors had to race across a path of moving platforms, climb a steep wall, and balance on narrow beams above a shallow pool. Of glowing water, a Xanthari elder raised his arm. Begin. Leo ran, his legs pushed harder than ever before. Dranik moved fast, graceful like a shadow. Leo had learned from his training with Valari. He stayed balanced, remembered to breathe. Though Dranik reached the wall first, Leo climbed with steady hands and crossed the beam without falling. In the end, Leo finished only 1 step behind Dranik. The crowd clapped. Valari gave a small nod. 1.4 Dranik, the elder said. The second task was of mind. Each warrior sat at a console with a puzzle. A glowing cube hovered in front of them. The cube changed colors, patterns, and sounds.
The challenge
was to find the pattern and unlock the final code. Leo stared at the cube. His heart was racing, but he forced himself to think. He remembered his training as an engineer. Patterns, logic. He blocked out the noise around him and focused. Dranik moved quickly, but made small mistakes. Leo moved slower, double-checked his answers. And at the last second, his cube lit up. Task complete. The system announced. The crowd gasped. 1.4 Leo of Earth, the elder said. Leo looked at Valari. Her face didn't change, but he noticed her arms were now crossed over her chest. A silent sign of approval. The final task was one of heart. This part confused Leo at first. He was handed a smooth crystal and asked to only speak. He had to explain why he stood there, what strength meant to him, and what he wanted to. Protects Dranik went first. His words were strong, formal, and full of pride. He spoke about tradition, duty, and honor. He spoke of his connection to Valari and how she deserved a true Xanthari warrior. Then it was Leo's turn. He took a breath and held the crystal. I'm not strong like Dranik, he began. I'm not fast or trained in your ways, but I respect. Strength when I see it. And I've learned more in the last week with Valari than I ever did in years back home. He paused. I never meant to challenge anyone, but I won't run away either. I want to stand beside those who protect. I want to learn from them, help them, and grow stronger with them. That's what strength means to me, not fighting, but standing firm for what's right. The crystal glowed softly. The crowd was quiet. Valari looked at Iman for the first time. Her lips curved into a small smile. The elder stepped forward. This trial has no winner, only understanding. He turned to Dranik. You have spoken well. You have shown strength. Then he turned to Leo, and you have walked a new path with courage. Dranik stepped forward. Leo tensed, expecting a glare or another challenge. Instead, Dranik bowed his head slightly. You are not weak. Leo blinked. Thanks, I think. Dranik walked away without another word. Valari approached Leo slowly. She looked at the crystal in his hand and then at his face. You have passed. Leo smiled. Does that mean I get to keep training with you? Valari looked at him for a long moment. It means you are no longer just a student. Then she walked away, leaving Leo standing in the middle of the arena. Heart pounding, not from fear this time, but something else. Something beginning. The trial was over, but something had changed. Leo could feel it in the way people looked at him. Xanthri no longer stared with doubt or confusion. Some nodded as he walked past. A few even gave small, respectful bows. Mira noticed it first. You're famous now, she said with a grin, sitting beside him in the mess hall. Leo poked at his food. Famous for what? Not falling off the beam? No, she said. For holding your ground. For winning the second task. And for speaking from the heart? Leo gave a weak smile. I was shaking the whole time. But you didn't run away, Mira said. And Valari smiled at you. That's not nothing. Leo looked down. He still didn't fully understand. Xanthri Kolcha. But he knew that a smile from Valari was rare. It meant something. Maybe more than words. But peace didn't last long. That night, alarms screamed through the outpost. Red lights flashed. Doors locked. Soldiers ran to their stations. Leo jumped from his bed and grabbed his cum. This is Leo, what's happening? Mira's? The voice came through, tense. We're under attack. Unknown ships. Not Xanthri. Not human. Get to the main tower. Leo ran. He dashed through the halls, past glowing warning lights and groups of armed Xanthri. Outside, the sky had turned red. With fire. Strange alien ships circled above, dropping small fighters that buzzed and shot beams of energy at the ground. Valari was already at the command center when Leo arrived. She wore her full armor now, and her face was like stone. You came, she said without looking at him. I'm not running, Leo said, breathless. She nodded once. Good. We need you, me, he asked. I'm not a soldier. No, Valari said, but you are smart. You know human systems. Our defense grid needs both sides to work. Leo's heart pounded. What do I do? She handed him a small crystal device. Go to the lower control room. Connect this to the Earth tech. I will hold the west gate. Alone. I won't be alone, she said, turning to leave. You'll be with me from a different side, Leo rushed. Through the tunnels under the tower, explosions shook the ground. Dust fell from the ceiling. He reached the lower control room and connected the crystal to the system. Lights blinked. A new interface opens in Thori and human technology working together. Leo typed fast. Rerouting. Power. Come on. Work. Outside, Valari stood at the gate, her weapon drawn. Strange enemies poured through the hills, were tall and insect-like, with glowing eyes and sharp limbs. They moved in groups, fast and wild. But Valari stood firm. She moved like a storm, blocking, striking, dodging. Her blade glowed with white light. She fought with grace and strength, holding the line alone. Leo saw her through the monitor. His fingers shook, but he kept working. He turned on the outer defense cannons. The screen blinked red manual aim only. No auto-fire? He groaned. Seriously? He grabbed the controls and aimed the cannons himself. He took a deep breath and began firing. Bright energy blasts flew into the sky, striking enemy ships. Some exploded. Others flew away. Valari looked up once, just for a second, and nodded toward the tower. Leo smiled. Yeah, we got this. The battle lasted 2 hours. Together, Valari and Leo held the west side. Mira and others defended the main gate. Xanthri and humans worked side by side. Finally, the enemy ships turned and retreated into the stars. The outpost was damaged but still standing. Leo slumped in his chair, covered in sweat. His hands were sore from gripping the controls. His heart still raced. He had never been in a real battle before. Valari entered the control room, her armor scratched and dusty. Her eyes met his. You fought well, she said. I didn't fight, Leo said, standing up. I just pressed buttons. Protected, Valari replied. That is what matters. They walked side by side through the quiet halls. Soldiers were helping the wounded. Drones repaired broken walls. Leo stopped near the balcony and looked at the sky. The stars were still there, bright and calm. Valerie stood beside him in silence. For a long moment, "Why did you stay?" she asked softly. Leo looked at her. "Because you asked me to. Because I didn't want to leave you alone." Valerie turned her head slightly. "Even knowing the danger?" He nodded, especially then. There was a pause. "You speak as one of us now," Valerie said. Leo smiled. "Does that mean I get a warrior name? You already have one?" she said. He raised an eyebrow. "Oh yeah, what is it?" Valerie leaned closer. Her voice was quiet stonewalker. "One who stands even when the ground shakes." Leo laughed softly. "That sounds better than Leo the Clumsy." Valerie didn't smile, but her eyes were warm. "You are no longer clumsy," she said. He looked at her carefully. "And you're no longer distant." She said nothing, but didn't look away. The stars shone down on both of them. For a while there was only silence, comfortable, peaceful silence. And in that silence, something deeper began to grow. Not a challenge, not a test, but a connection. Something real. The battle was over, but the outpost was still full of noise. Repair drones flew around, fixing broken walls. Medics treated injured soldiers. Engineers like Leo worked day and night to bring power systems back online. The outpost had survived. But the damage was clear. Leo wiped sweat from his forehead as he tightened a cable on the generator. His arms were sore and his eyes heavy with sleep. But he kept working. There was something different in him now, something stronger. He was no longer just a visitor. He was part of the outpost, part of the mission, part of them. Later that evening, Leo sat outside near the fire circle. Several humans and Xanthri were there, sharing stories, food, and quiet moments. The stars above were calm again, like nothing had happened. Mira handed Leo a warm cup of blue root tea. "You should rest," she said. "You've done enough for 10 engineers." Leo took a sip.
"Oh."
"Rest tomorrow. Maybe." Mira looked at him carefully. "You've changed." Leo raised an eyebrow. "How?" "You walk straighter. Speak with more confidence. People actually listen when you talk." Leo smiled. "That's new." Mira leaned back. "Valerie watches. You more now." Leo's smile faded slightly, I noticed. "Is that a bad thing?" He shook his head. "No, it's just ... new for me. I never expected any of this. I came here to fix machines, not form a bond with a warrior leader." Mira nodded slowly. "Sometimes the best things are unexpected." Leo didn't answer, but deep inside, he knew she was right. The next day, Leo was called to the council chamber. It was a circular room at the center of the outpost, where Xanthari leaders and human officers met. Alari stood beside the main console, her armor cleaned and polished. She looked calm, but her eyes were serious. Leo stepped forward. "You wanted to see me?" Valari nodded. "Yes, we have received news." One of the human officers spoke. Earth Command is recalling several members of the exchange team. "That includes you, Leo." Leo blinked. "What? Why?" "There's a new project," the officer said. "They want you back on Earth for training and planning." Leo looked at Valari. "How long do I have?" 2 days, she said softly. Silence filled the room. Leo's heart sank. He had just started to feel like he belonged. He wasn't ready to leave, not yet. "Do I have a choice?" he asked. The officer looked at him. "You can request to stay, but the final decision depends on both governments." Leo nodded slowly, then turned to Valari. Her voice was calm, but there was something in it he had never heard before, something almost gentle. "You have walked our path," she said. "You've earned respect. If you go, we will honor you. If you stay, we will walk forward together." Leo swallowed hard. "And what would you want?" Valari looked into his eyes. "No, I cannot choose for you. But I will say this. My path has changed since the day you spoke your thoughts." Leo smiled. "I thought I ruined everything that day." she said. You began something. That night, Leo walked alone to the cliffs beyond the outpost. The stars above were clear. The air was cool and quiet. He sat on a rock and and looked up, thinking, did he belong on Earth, surrounded by buildings and noise, or did he belong here among stars and warriors? A soft sound behind him made him turn. Valerie stood there. I thought you might come, Leo said. You were thinking. Too much, she replied, walking beside him. He smiled. Can't help it. She looked at the sky. When I was young, I wanted to become a sky guardian, someone who traveled between worlds. What changed? I stayed to protect my people, she said. But sometimes I wonder what my life would be like if I had chosen to leave. Leo looked at her. I have to make a choice, and I don't know what's right. There is no perfect choice, Valerie said. Only a path you believe in. They sat in silence for a long time. Then Leo spoke. If I stay, what happens? Valerie turned to face him. Then you will continue to train, to work, to grow, and.
Oh.
Leo asked. She hesitated just a moment. And perhaps the bond that began by accident will become something more. Leo's heart beat faster. You mean yes? She said softly. He looked down, then up at the stars. I think I already made my choice. He said the next day, Leo submitted his request to stay. The council discussed it for hours. Finally, the answer came, approved. He was allowed to remain on Xanthorus under one condition. He must become a full member of the outpost. No longer a guest. No longer just an engineer. He would train, serve, and represent both humans and Xanthori. Leo accepted without hesitation. That evening, a small ceremony was held. Valerie stood beside him and placed a silver band around his arm, the sign of unity and shared purpose. You are now one of us, she said. Leo smiled. Does that mean I have to wake up earlier? Valerie actually laughed a short, warm sound that made everyone turn. Mira, standing nearby, whispered, Now that's a first. As the stars rose again, Leo stood beside Valerie on the balcony of the command tower. So he said, What's next? She looked at him with steady eyes. Now, we walk forward together. And they did, not as strangers, not as warrior, an outsider, but as two souls brought together by accident, courage, and something neither of them had expected. Days passed quietly after the ceremony. The outpost had returned to normal. Repair crews finished fixing the damaged buildings, and the defense systems were stronger than ever. Human and Xanthori teams now worked more closely, side by side, sharing knowledge and skills. And Leo was no longer an outsider. He was one of them. Each morning, he trained with Valerie. She no longer called him student. Now she called him partner. They moved in sync during drills, striking, stepping, and breathing as one. Their movements told a silent story. One of trust. One of balance. Leo felt it every time he looked at her. The bond was growing. But with every step forward, a new thought began to rise in his heart. Was this real? Or was he just imagining it? One evening, while working with Mira on a communications upgrade, Leo spoke quietly. Do you think Valerie actually feels something for me? Mira raised an eyebrow. After everything you two have been through, I'd say yes. She never says it, Leo muttered. She's calm, focused. She nods a lot, but... Mira smiled. Xanthori, don't talk about emotions the way we do. They show it through action. Leo looked down at the silver band on his arm, the one Valerie gave him during the ceremony. What if I misread it all? Then ask her, Mira said. No translator mistakes. This time, be honest. That's what started all this, right? Leo laughed softly. Yeah, one honest thought, and my whole life changed. That night, Leo found Valerie at the edge of the outpost, standing alone beneath the stars. She didn't turn when he approached. She already knew he was there. The stars are calm tonight, she said. They are, Leo replied. Stepping beside her, for a few seconds they said nothing. The air was still. The sky stretched above them like an endless ocean of lights. Finally, Leo took a deep breath. "Can I ask you something?" "Yes." "When you gave me this," he touched the silver band, "did it mean more than just unity?" Valari was quiet. Then she turned and looked directly into his eyes. "Yes," she said. "It did." Leo's heart beat faster. "Then why didn't you say anything?" She looked up at the stars again. "Because words are easy, but meaning takes time." Leo stepped closer. "So what do we mean now?" Valari looked at him, and for the first time her voice softened. "Completely, we mean trust. We mean courage. We mean the start of something stronger." Leo felt a strange mix of relief and warmth. "I thought I might have made everything up in my head." "You didn't," she said. There was a pause. Then Valari reached out and touched his hand, just briefly, but with quiet strength. "In our way," she said. "This is the step before a deeper bond, but it must be chosen by both." Leo nodded. "Slowly, I choose it." Valari met his gaze. "Then I do too." The next morning, a message arrived from Earth Command. It was short but important. A formal bonding between human and Xanthri had never happened before. If Leo wished to continue, it would be recorded as the first of its kind. The leaders of both groups would need to approve it. But more than that, Leo and Valari would need to complete a final walk as Xanthri, tradition before a lasting bond. The final walk was not a ceremony. It was a journey. Just the two of them. No weapons, no gear, no guards. Only a small pack, a shared path, and the wild lands of Xanthoris. They set out at dawn. The ground was soft under their boots. Sky was pale with early light. Birds with silver wings flew above the trees. For hours they walked without speaking. Then they crossed a river, using smooth stones. Leo almost slipped, but Valari caught him gently. "You were better than before," she said. "You've taught me well," he replied. That night they made a small fire under a giant tree with glowing leaves. The forest around them was calm. Leo sat beside Valari, feeling peace like he'd never known. "I've never done anything like this," he said. "Leaving Earth, joining a new culture. Forming a bond with someone from another world. You were brave," Valari said. "Even when afraid." Leo looked at her. "Were you ever afraid?" Or she thought for a moment. "Yes. When I saw you fall in training. When I heard the enemy ships approach. And when I realized I didn't want you to leave." Leo's voice was quiet. "I didn't want to leave either." She looked at him and stay. Not as guest. Not as outsider. As one of us. One with me.
Oh.
Leo didn't need to think. "I will." When they returned to the outpost 2 days later, something was different. The way Valari walked beside Leo. The way she no longer kept distance. The way others looked at them not with surprise, but with quiet approval. The leaders of the outpost accepted the bond. Earth's command sent a message. "You have shown a new kind of unity. We support it." Mira hugged Leo tightly. "Told you so!" Leo just laughed. Yeah, you win." Weeks passed. The outpost continued its work, but now it had a new symbol: Leo and Velar's partnership. A human and a Xanthri, side by side. One day, while fixing a panel near the West Tower, Leo turned to Velar and said, "You remember the first thing I said about you?" Valaria's eyes twinkled. "Yes." "You spoke boldly." "I thought I'd get in trouble," Leo grinned. "You did," she said. "With me," he smiled. "And now, Valari said. "You walk with me on. You never have to fear speaking." Again, Leo looked at her, heart full. He had come to fix machines. He had stayed to find something far more powerful. Not just strength, not just trust, but a connection that crossed stars.